Judges chapter 4. And the children of Israel again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead. And the Lord sold him into the hand of Jabin king of Canaan that reigned in Hatzor. The captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron. In 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim, and the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Hath not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali and of the children of Zebulun? And I will draw out thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's host, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand. And Barak said unto her, If thou wilt go with me, then I will go, but if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite, which was one of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself from the Kenites, and pitched his tent unto the plain of Zaanaim, which is by Kadesh. And they showed Sisera that Barak the son of Abinoam had gone up to Mount Tabor. And Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him, from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river Kishon. And Deborah said unto Barak, Up, for this is the day in which the Lord hath delivered Sisera into thine hand. Is not the Lord gone out before thee? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor, and 10,000 men after him. And the Lord discomfited Sisera, and all his chariots, and all his host, with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot, and fled away on his feet. But Barak pursued after the chariots, and after the host, unto Harosheth of the Gentiles, and all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not one man left. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. For there was peace between Jabin the king of Hazor, and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her to the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk, and gave him drink, and covered him. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of tent. And it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? Thou shalt say, No. And Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took an hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary. So he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, and I will shew thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into the tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. So God subdued on that day Jabin the king of Canaan before the children of Israel, and the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin king of Canaan. This chapter says an incredible amount about the children of Israel at this time. We find that the spiritual leader apparently, of all of the people is a lady named Deborah. Now she would have been a leader because there were no men who were showing any leadership skills or qualities. And if all Israel went to her to be judged, this was a lady who had spiritual insight and gifts of the Spirit. Now, it says something in here, describes her as a prophetess. And you need to understand that that word has nothing, and I repeat, nothing to do with her being the female equivalent of a prophet. She is not the female equivalent of Joshua. She is not the female equivalent of Moses. She is not a prophet of God. She has the gift of prophecy. And if you read in Revelations chapter 19, verse 10, I think, you will find that women and men, especially since we have a history of even when Moses was the prophet of God, Miriam was living righteously enough much of the time. One notable incident where she got leprosy because she rebelled against Moses, but other times she was quite righteous. She had the gift of prophecy. There were other people that had the gift of prophecy at the same time as Moses was the leader. And there were 70 elders. These people had the gifts of prophecy. We know that Miriam and Deborah were righteous women, and that righteous men and righteous women that are not ordained of God as prophets to the people can have the gift of prophecy, and obviously Deborah did that. And she was able to have inspiration to find out how they were going to deal with Jabin and Sisera. Now, last but not least for this chapter, the Kenites were descendants of Jethro, who was Moses' father-in-law. And the lady, Jael, obviously a lady of great courage. And there was, when Sisera was running away from the battle, he needed a place to hide, and he chose her tent. And she lulled him into feeling he was secure, and then killed him by driving a spike through his head, and showed that unto the leader of the Hebrew people, Hebrew troops, and that was the end of the battle. They were able to look after all of it and live happier lives than they had before because they weren't under the military threat they had been under. Interesting things about Deborah. Obviously a wonderful woman, but again, not the female equivalent of a prophet of God. That word is not properly done. The word prophetess probably should just mean righteous woman. I think that would be a much more appropriate translation of the Hebrew words.